Skol Nation, stop right now. US Bank Stadium just erupted with breaking news. 2 Vikings just earned All-Pro honors. A franchise quarterback controversy is brewing, and $30 million in cuts are coming. The first fact, Eric Wilson led the entire NFL in a defensive stat that changes everything. JJ McCarthy's locker room drama just got exposed, and a 4-time Pro Bowler might be gone by March. If you skol louder than you breathe, this is your moment. The Vikings just shifted from a 9-win disappointment to a full-scale rebuild. Hit like if you bleed purple and gold more than you hate the Packers, because what's coming next will shake the NFC North to its core. Let's start with the All-Pro honors that nobody saw coming. Chaos turned to celebration. The Vikings finished 9-8, missed the playoffs, and watched their division rivals march forward. But when Next Gen Stats released their All-Pro team, 2 Vikings made the cut. Not the names you expected, not the veterans you worship. The first name? Eric Wilson, inside linebacker, signed as a depth player, started every game after week 1. And here's the number that made defensive coordinators across the league pause. 22.5% pressure rate. That's the highest by any player with 150-plus pass rushes since 2022. Wilson wasn't just blitzing, he was hunting. The Vikings allowed 4.5 yards per play when Wilson was on the field. When he sat, 6.5. That's a 2-yard swing, the largest split of any defender with 100-plus snaps on and off. Brian Flores built a defense around a guy who was supposed to ride the bench.
Wilson racked up 20 run stuffs, 3rd most in the NFL, and allowed just 4.4 yards per target in coverage, the fewest among linebackers. This man did everything. Blake Cashman went down with a hamstring injury, Ivan Pace Jr. couldn't hold the job, and Wilson stepped in and became a centerpiece. Second on the team in sacks, constant pressure, relentless attack. Do you think Eric Wilson just became a top 10 linebacker in this league? Drop your take below. And the second All-Pro, Will Reichert, the rookie kicker, 94.3% on field goals, despite a 74.6% expected rate. His plus 19.7% field goal probability over expected was the highest in the last decade by any kicker with 30-plus attempts. Reichert hit a 62-yarder, went 11 for 13 from 50-plus, and broke Blair Walsh's team record. NFC Special Teams Player of the Month in December. Perfect on 12 field goals and 12 extra points to close the season. This isn't just a kicker, this is a weapon. When you finish 9-8 and still get 2 All-Pros, that's not luck, that's culture. If you believe Wilson and Reichert just became the foundation of this team's future, smash that like and let Packers fans know who's coming. But here's where it gets messy. Because while Wilson and Reichert earned respect, the franchise quarterback just lost some. Whispers in training camp, veterans rolling their eyes, a high-energy rookie who couldn't read the room. The name? JJ McCarthy. And the tension? It started before the season even kicked off. ESPN's Kevin Seifert just dropped a bomb. Some Vikings veterans grew weary of McCarthy's high-energy approach during training camp.
The doldrums of August, the grind of two-a-days, and here's this second-year quarterback bouncing around like it's a playoff game. Sources said it wore on key players. McCarthy's moxie, his swagger, his refusal to dial it back, it wasn't winning everyone over. This is a team with one of the NFL's oldest rosters in 2025. Veterans who've been through wars, who've lost in heartbreaking fashion, who don't need a kid telling them to get hyped for a walkthrough. But here's the twist. By the end of the season, that attitude shifted. Guard Will Fries went on record this week. I absolutely love playing with JJ. What a tremendous leader he is for how young he is. He's got a lot of moxie and swagger. Every time he goes out and gets that look in his eye in the huddle, you know at any moment he is going to catch fire and do something big. I'm excited for his growth, his development, and his future. That's a complete turnaround. The same energy that annoyed veterans in camp became the spark they needed when the wins mattered. McCarthy led the Vikings to victories in their final 5 games. Not enough to make the playoffs, but enough to show he's got it. Except, McCarthy's moxie also costs. Week 18, first quarter, McCarthy lowers his shoulder on a scramble and draws a taunting penalty. Same game, he re-injures his throwing hand. Again. This is a pattern. McCarthy's fearless, but he's also reckless. He plays with fire, and sometimes he gets burned. The front office locked him in as the franchise guy for 2026, but the question remains, can McCarthy balance his swagger with discipline? Do you think JJ McCarthy is the answer at quarterback, or is Minnesota one bad decision away from starting over? Comment your honest take. And if you believe McCarthy's energy is what this team needs, hit like and prove it. But while the locker room debates leadership, the front office is about to make brutal decisions, because $30 million in salary cap cuts are coming, and two big-name veterans are on the chopping block. $46 million. That's the salary cap deficit the Vikings are staring at for 2026. Over the cap, no room to breathe. And according to Alec Lewis of The Athletic, the Vikings structured two major free agent signings with off-ramps after year one. Translation, they can cut bait without devastating cap hits. The first name on the list, Ryan Kelly, four-time Pro Bowl center, signed from Indianapolis this offseason on a 2-year, $18 million deal. Kelly was supposed to anchor the offensive line. Instead, he started just 8 games. 3 concussions in 2025, finished the season on injured reserve. The offensive line's 5 intended starters played 83 snaps together all season. Kelly's health became the single greatest concern up front. Cutting Kelly saves the Vikings $8.75 million against the cap, with a dead cap hit of just under $3.4 million. The move is obvious. Lewis wrote, "The center position sits among the Vikings' top priorities this spring, alongside quarterback, safety, defensive line, and cornerback. Kelly's gone. Book it." The second cut, Javon Hargrave, defensive tackle, 32 years old, entering year 2 of a 2-year, $30 million deal. Hargrave played the full season, but his production didn't match the price. Cutting him saves $11 million, with a dead cap hit just under $10.5 million. That's a net gain, and the Vikings need every penny. But the cuts don't stop there. Aaron Jones, $8 million in cap savings, $6.8 million dead hit. Running backs are replaceable, and Jones will be on the older side of 30. TJ Hawkinson, the 2-time Pro Bowl tight end, $16 million in savings with a post-June 1 designation. Hawkinson tore his ACL in 2023, played just 10 games in 2024, and struggled in 2025. 51 catches, 438 yards, 3 touchdowns. The offensive line forced him into pass protection more than ever. His production fell, his salary stayed high, and now the Vikings have to decide. Do they eat the contract or find a trade partner? Hawkinson's base salaries are $15.4 million in 2026 and $17.4 million in 2027. That's $66 million total remaining. No team is giving up draft capital and taking that salary without a restructure. The Vikings could compromise, ask Hawkinson to take a pay cut and keep him around as a veteran presence, or they could move on and invest in youth. Either way, the roster is about to look different. Do you think the Vikings should cut Hawkinson or restructure his deal? Drop your answer below. And if you believe Ryan Kelly and Javon Hargrave are gone, smash that like and let everyone know the Vikings are about to get ruthless. But here's the edge of the decision. Christian Darrisaw's health is uncertain. If the left tackle can't play, the offensive line needs even more investment. That changes everything. The Vikings are at a crossroads, and the next 60 days will define the next 5 years. 3 stories, 1 storm.
Eric Wilson and Will Reichard earned All-Pro honors, and prove this team has foundational talent. JJ McCarthy won over the locker room, but still has to prove he can lead without self-destructing. And the Vikings are about to cut 4 high-priced veterans to clear $40+ million in cap space. This isn't a retool, this is a full-scale reset. Minnesota just went from playoff hopeful to cap-strapped rebuilder in one offseason. But here's the silver lining. The Vikings have pieces. A defense anchored by Brian Flores and Eric Wilson, a special teams weapon in Will Reichard, a quarterback with moxie in JJ McCarthy, and a front office willing to make hard decisions. If they nail the draft, hit on a few mid-tier free agents, and stay healthy, the Vikings could surprise the entire NFC North in 2026. Green Bay is aging. Detroit is hyped but unproven in January.
Chicago is still years away. The North is open. The question isn't if the Vikings can compete, it's when they make the leap. Kevin O'Connell has proven he can coach. Brian Flores has proven he can scheme. Now it's about execution. Can McCarthy stay healthy? Can the offensive line protect him? Can the defense maintain its level without losing key pieces in free agency? Those answers will define this franchise for the next decade. Here's what I need from Viking Nation. 1. Smash that like if you believe the Vikings just made the smartest moves of the offseason. 2. Drop a comment. Are the Vikings playoff bound in 2026, or do they need another year to build? And 3. Subscribe, because every single subscriber makes Packers fans furious, and we are about to dominate the NFC North. But listen closely, here's the cliff. The Vikings have the 18th overall pick in the draft. Rumors are swirling that they could trade Pitt into the top 10 if a franchise left tackle falls. Christian Darrisaw's injury could force their hand. That decision happens in April. And on top of that, the Packers just cleared cap space and are targeting the exact same free agent defensive lineman the Vikings want. Which domino falls first, Minnesota's or Green Bay's? Plus, insiders say Kevin O'Connell called a coaches-only meeting last week, and what was discussed could either unite this staff or create a fracture that destroys the season before it starts. That story drops next. Skull Nation, the war begins now. Hit subscribe, stay locked, and let's make the NFC North bleed purple. We ride together. See you in the next battle.